Hello, welcome back to another Fabulous Radio channel. I'm Jacob from Jacob's Book Corner, and today we're starting a weekend reading vlog. Today this 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm starting this so we can do it. First things I want to talk about are the books I'm going to be reading, which is the Renegade Trilogy by Marissa Meyer. This is Renegades, Arch Enemies, and Supernova. It took me maybe 50%, maybe 40% to really get into this book, but I love it. I love the characters, I love the romance, I'm very curious. So I'm going to be finishing this in the morning and finishing Arch Enemies as well. So I will talk about the books in a non-spoilery fashion in this vlog, kind of vlogging my experience while reading them, because I should be able to finish Arch Enemies probably tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then definitely on Friday while starting Supernova. Take that into the weekend. If I do start that, I do have another audiobook we could pick up, which I'll talk about if we get there. The next one is The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I do need to start this so I can start my reading marathon for Sarah J. Maas. My plan is to just binge almost all of Sarah J. Maas's books. Who knows? Right now we might just start Throwing Glass, and then we might work our way over into A Court of Mist and Theory, and then I'm reading her other one, her adult novel, between this month and next month, because it's part of my 5 fantasy. And for 5 fantasy and 5 sci-fi, because they take me so long to read, and probably 5 historical fiction, those will be coming bi-monthly instead of straight monthly, which I should have mentioned in my last one, but I didn't think about it. We also have 6 different graphic novels to read as well. This is my last big weekend to read. If I'm gonna hit any notes, it's this weekend. I also have a Neil Patrick Harris book here. This is book 1, a part of a series, and it's like, I think there's pictures in it as well, but it's a children's book, so we might get to it. I don't know. Honestly, I should probably start another fantasy novel, so we might do that. I don't know either. We'll find out. But there's the goals. Renegade Trilogy, The Assassin's Blade, and then my group of graphic novels, which I'll get into in manga. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Hello, I want to come in here and update you guys. I am, today is the end of Thursday, and I'm about to sit down to do some work. I have some videos and stuff that I need to film, basically, and get it up and figure out my schedule. Essentially, I did finish a few books, one of those being Renegades today. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. The only reason why I didn't get a 5 out of 5 stars, because I don't think half the book, the later half, represents the first half, as I found the first half to be kind of boring and not unnecessary, whereas the second half I loved and I adored. And there's a few moments back here in this later half that I felt like kind of dragged on a little, so I wish the book was a little bit shorter. I don't think it needed this much of page length. It's like 600 pages, but I still really liked it. I very much enjoy it. I love the narrator, so automatically it's a plus in my book. This follows Nova and Adrian as they live dual lives as both basically superheroes and villains in a world called Gallon City, where people are prodigies and you can either become a part of the Renegades, or you can become what they call vigilantes and or people who go against the Renegades, and that's essentially what this whole book is about. That's all I can really tell you non-spoilerly. Just know that I really like the character development and this very slow burn romance. I thoroughly enjoyed. I really thoroughly enjoyed. And also, even though it's really dark and a lot of people do die in really graphic ways, it felt very Disney princess-like, which is kind of weird. And I don't know if that's just because I've put like Marissa Meyer with Disney princesses, because she did the Lunar Trilogy or Luna Saga, which I just absolutely adore. And so yeah, I loved Renegade. Now, going forward, I might talk in slight spoilers for the later books, but do know I'm going to try to work my way around them. Like, I might mention this or that, and I'll throw up a spoiler warning on the screen or something along those lines, so you guys know. Or maybe I won't talk with the book if I'm talking spoilers. I don't really know. We'll figure it out as we go, because I did read the first 100 pages of Arch Enemies, which is book 2. Now, some people really like this. Some people think this is the least link in the trilogy. So I'm really curious to see how I feel about Arch Enemies. I'm really looking forward to finishing this series because I just think it's so good and I just want to know every detail. The newest thing I find to be very interesting and very interesting, and that is a new serum they've introduced. It's gonna be like the most non-spoiler way I can say it. And also, like I said, the slow burn romance. I think where the book starts though is a problem. So initially I was caught off guard because it just starts in the middle of something, and I really do wish there was like a build up and or even not jumping. It's like 4 or 5 months after the end of the events of this one, and I wish it was kind of more. I'm much more into trilogies that start where the last book picked up, ended. That's where I like it. That's how I like to read my books, as if I'm going into like one solid motion. But these definitely do feel like 2 entities, and when I'm binging like a book series or 3 books or whatever, I kind of like them feeling like it's all one and the same. Also interesting with Arch Enemies, the way she is wrapping up the events of the last book is normally in the first chapter or so, to kind of give anybody who's new to the series to not having to read it. But I do feel like you could pick up Arch Enemies without reading Renegades, which is nothing I'd ever say before, because of the details in this, and so it's a weird time. I don't really know how I feel. I'm not really sure where that lands. I think it might be another 4. So I'm really hoping Supernova kicks this one out of the park. And this is not a 4-star series, because that would just be annoying. I want 1 5. You know what I mean? I'm disinvested. I should have a 5. Then I read something so beautiful, and I highly recommend to anybody and everybody, and that is For Everyone by Jason Reynolds. This was recommended to me by a coworker, and she's like, you need this in your life, and I was like, okay, I'll read it. I love Jason Reynolds. He's a phenomenal writer. I read Long Way Down like 4 or 5 years ago now, and it was phenomenal. Highly recommend. But with this, it's a letter essentially. It's also, the opening is like he started writing a letter to himself when he was really lost to try to find himself again, and you can really tell, and it's beautiful, and it took him like 7 years to write. And yeah, I highly recommend this amazing piece of poetry, even though it's not like really poetry, but it is kind of poetry, so it's a big spec there. But it's phenomenal. This was a 5. Then I also started Heartstoppers Volume 3. I was at work, I was at lunch, and then also had some time afterwards. I hung out with like a friend afterwards, but I had some time, and so I was like, I'll read. And so I think I got to page 125 of Heartstoppers Volume 3, and I love this. This follows Charlie and Nikki, whatever you want to say. Probably not Nikki, that's probably bad, but everything else is cool. And their interesting relationship over the course of a few books. I know these are characters I think pop up in Radio Silence by Alice Oseman, and I do have plannings to reread the entire Alice Oseman backlog. I think I might film that experience, at least Radio Silence at least. There'll be a spoiler vlog, or just like a vlog. I don't know if it's probably not spoiler, but just me experiencing it. As I think a lot of people would be really interested in that. I don't know, I'll get to it. But Charlie's sister is the main character that I think that's how those work. Either way, I love the first 2 volumes like a ton, and I'm loving this one. I'm really nervous. I get really anxious with these books, but I enjoy them nonetheless, because these are a lot more dramatic than most of my gay fiction that I read. But this one's a trip to Paris is essentially the plot, and I'm really liking it so far. So yeah, I'm very curious, and yeah, it's very gay, which I enjoy.
Trying to get your attention. Can I come close? I don't know how to play this. Our hands touch once or twice, feeling kind of hypnotized. I'm looking at you and I feel the tension. You know, this could be like heaven. I am right here, doing my best to make you feel like I do. And just for a second, you're looking at me, making me feel like maybe you want this too. Give me your attention. I'm trying to breathe, but the air feels just like water. You're making me weak now. What doesn't kill you makes you. Our hands touch once or twice. We should let them intertwine. I'm looking at you and I feel the tension. You know, this could be like heaven. I am right here.
Great. I figured I'd come in here and update you guys. It's now Friday evening. I have read 2 other books plus 100 other pages, and then I started another one, so let's talk about them. So last night I ended up finishing Heartstoppers Volume 3 while waiting on Olivia Rodrigo's new album to drop, which I will be talking about here very shortly. If you're clawing or scratching or whatever, that is my cat. I can't do anything about that. This is the darkest one I've read so far for Heartstoppers. I knew the story gradually got more and more darker as it went on. I just wasn't really prepared, and it ended on a very sad note. Then I read Doubt Volume 2. Doubt is I read Volume 1 back in, I want to say it was April, and I adored it. I thought it was phenomenal. Maybe it was March. It was either April or March or April. I adored it. I loved it. I liked the concept, and I thought it was really well done. And this is like the conclusion. So this is like the 3rd act or whatever, which is really long, but besides the point. And I hate it. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. I could not. This, by the way, I think it was a 4 out of 5 stars. This was a 2. Just absolutely despised. Then I started Temporary Forever, which I'll probably be finishing during the movie tonight while I watch it. This is a poetry collection by Matthew something. He is a fan of After, and so that's kind of how I knew about him and stuff, and it's pretty good. I really like it so far. We'll see how I like it at the end, but yeah, and then I also have been reading Arch Enemies. Not a lot today because Sour came out, but I did read a little bit of it. And so now we're on page 205. And yeah, I can't really talk about what's going on, just more and more information about the serum and also the development of a relationship that I'm very much in line for. And some theories brewing of how this last half of the book is gonna blow my brain. That's the goal. Obviously the goal is to finish this weekend and to try to finish the other one, but we will obviously see where that goes. Then I want to talk about Sour itself. This is Loverio's debut album, and I tend to do reading vlogs and stuff around my favorite releases of artists, and she is by far one of my favorite releases. When I listened to it last night, I was thoroughly impressed, but I always felt like something was missing, and this morning when I re-listened to it like 17 times, I'm obsessed. I think it's a phenomenal project. There's no skip songs. Honestly, I've been kind of putting it on shuffle just because Driver's License and Deja Vu, which are and Good For You, which I've heard a lot now because I put them on repeat in my head 24/7. They're really early on in the album, and so I just went a much more fresher rate, and then they show up randomly, and that's really the only reason why. I think the storyline here is great. I really liked a lot of different things. I also liked a lot of the word choices and the storytelling here. I think it was also phenomenal. For only being 17, she's a phenomenal songwriter and a phenomenal singer. So yeah, I'm very, very excited. Hopefully I do get an email eventually saying that her signed edition will come back for it so I can buy one. But those are all my updates for you. I will talk to you a little bit later. I got a movie to watch. Alright, now it's Saturday evening. I know, this weekend's gone by like super duper fast, but I do have a little bit of a reading update, and hopefully this weekend I can film, or tomorrow I can actually film me reading. There's a few extra books I want to get to, but for the audiobook purposes, I read 2 books actually. We'll start with I finished, what is that called? Oh, it's a poetry book. Terribly Beautiful or something along those lines. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I felt like it was overtly long, but I don't know if that's just the way I was reading it that it felt very long. Also, the Kindle edition, at least on my phone, was not as well formatted as I had hoped. I still really enjoyed what I did read. A lot of the poems had a very similarness to them, and so I think it was just more of like, I really wish they would have went through and cut a few out if they felt very, very one note on certain ones. Still very beautiful, still highly recommend. I'm kind of curious to see where they go further with their collection. It's a duo team. I don't know if it's an artist and a writer or just 2 writers writing together, and maybe that's why it was so similar. Not really sure. There is a lot of things here though that I found to be very fascinating and very interesting. It deals with a lot of romances and fandoms and stuff. I think it's the biggest things. There's a lot of poems about fandoms and there's a lot of poems about romances. For audiobook wise, obviously I've been reading Arch Enemies, and now we are up to page 325, so now we're that far. I think my audiobook says we're 70%. I did up my speed a little because I'm so used to the voices now that I'm perfectly cool with playing it like on a 2.8 or 2.7, which is normally where I listen to audiobooks, but here recently, because certain books I don't feel like I'm getting the right experience from, I have been dropping it down to more like a 2.5. I can't go anything below that or it just sounds weird to me. But yeah, I'm curious to see the next audiobook we'll pick up after we finish the next one, which is Supernova, which I have some thoughts and opinions about. I have a few theories of where that's going to go, even though this book's not over yet. It's been boring, but also fascinating. The coolest thing is a painting, I'm going to say. You'll know it if you read it. And I really like it so far under that regard, but I don't really feel like anything's happening to any extreme consent. Like, I read, like I said, 324 pages, and I still don't really feel like enough of the stories happened. A lot of people say nothing really happens until page 400, which is not for another little bit, 39, so not that much left, and it's like the last 100 or so pages. This is the shortest one out of them all. Who knows? The goal is to try to finish it this evening. I have a lot of editing and like a lot of just inner working channel stuff to work on for you guys and for other people, so that's the plan. All right, I'm gonna get to making a thumbnail so I can upload your guys' video and listening to, I think, this, if not maybe watching a YouTube video.
Give me your attention.
Ghost Shadow Market, which is going to go up like really late tonight, but it has to go up today. But I'm finishing Arch Enemies, and Jesus, this is chaotic. I think up at chapter like 39, I think it's when the chaoticness just really struck in, but my word, I don't even know how to handle this. We have like maybe 6 minutes left. Alright, welcome to the end of this vlog. Today, we're talking about the books that I did read, the amount of pages I read, but of course, we're going to wrap up Arch Enemies. Arch Enemies, like I said, is the second book in the Renegades, and the last, like I want to say, maybe 110 pages, was so phenomenal, but also terrifyingly intense, and hard to read, but also in the best way possible. I ended up giving the book a 4 out of 5 stars. So this is becoming one of my new favorite series. I don't think it's going to go down in history as like one of my all-times. I personally think the Lunar Chronicles are better. Let me know if you disagree or not. Also, do you guys mind the setup? I'm not really sure. I do think we're going to be changing my bookshelf and stuff. I think we're officially going into color coding. We're going to do a rainbow. Not really sure yet though. I'm keeping a few spots down here in the bottom for library books and stuff, but either way, that is the plan because I think this is going to be our new setup. I have a chair now and stuff, so yeah. Does not matter. With Arch Enemies, that's how I think. Arch Enemies ended up being about 480 or something pages. And yeah, I really like the ending. The ending was quite strong. I cannot wait. To the point where I'm like, I think I might need to do a non-spoiler review of Supernova because I have documented my experience on reading Renegades and this one, and I'm not doing a weekend vlog. I'm not waiting to the weekend to read Supernova, so that might be coming at some point. My problem is it's gonna be kind of like a little bit of a time, but that's okay. Arch Enemies. All right, let's talk about the books I did. The books I read. The weekend started off quite strong. I think I'll continue to bring books with me to the library to read on my lunch break, shorter books and type of thing, because I ended up reading a lot this weekend, a lot of pages and stuff, so I felt very confident about that. But first, we finished Renegades. I think I read about the last like 200 to 300 pages, and so I counted as 300, but it could have been 200. To be honest, I won't know until I rewatch the footage. But with Renegades, I really, it took me a while. It took me like 50 or so percent into it to get into it. But once you're in it, and so yeah. I want to say I picked up For Everyone by Jason Reynolds, which is a letter type thing. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely adore this. I think everybody should read it. Then we have Heartstoppers by Noseman. This is volume 3. I gave this eventually a 4 out of 5 stars as I was a little bit disappointed in such with the actual book and where they're going and the target stuff here, but I cannot wait to read volume 4, so hopefully I can pick it up within the next few months or so. Then I read Doubt volume 2, which ended up being a dud for me. This was a 2 out of 5 stars. This is really annoying, and I ended up getting really aggravated with the ending and the reveals. I will not be continuing on with this series, which does suck. If it's not over, it might be over. And then I read Arch Enemies in its entirety, and I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars, just like the first one, because it is a little bit slower. It's a little more plot heavier, not so much action heavy, and that does disappoint me just a little bit. So yeah, that's where we're at. Alright, if you guys enjoyed this video, please make 5 thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you all next time for another beautiful video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Emma, you cannot fit up here. I know that's what you're trying to do. I physically have no way of fitting you up here.